much confirmed with their new Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer this morning that we're getting one of the coolest Spider-Man stories adapted into live action. And let me tell you, we're about to see a very different Tom Holland Spider-Man. So of course this morning we got the first trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day, and this moment from the trailer piqued my interest.
Spiders have 3 life cycles. When between cycles, it can leave the spider vulnerable to threats.
That line that spiders have 3 life cycles pretty much confirms that we're gonna get an evolving Spider-Man in this film. And if you're wondering, the 3 stages of a spider's life cycle are an egg, a spiderling, and an adult. So seeing Peter break out of his cocoon like this is essentially him leaving his egg stage. Which then of course leads to his spiderling phase, which is when they spray silk essentially all over the place in this scene that we get from the trailer, which is wildly very reminiscent to the Tobey scene from the original Spider-Man movies. Which then of course leads us to the evolved Spider-Man that I think we see later on in the trailer. But it looks like the story is loosely adapting the Amazing Spider-Man comics, specifically the Evolve or Die run. Essentially during this run, Peter is mysteriously dying with like an illness tied to his Spidey powers, which then of course leads him into a brutal fight with one of his strongest enemies in Merlin, and he essentially dies. When he essentially dies, his body creates a giant organic cocoon around him. He essentially goes through a spider-like metamorphosis. It's a pretty gruesome transformation, essentially a body horror type vibe to these comics, and I'm kind of getting that with this trailer. But in the comics, he essentially comes back fully regenerated with these cool, different abilities, one of which being stingers. He also has organic webs. His Spidey sense is off the charts. So if I were to guess what happens, I think he gets into a fight with either Scorpion or someone else. Maybe he gets injected with some sort of poison, to which I think this lends to this scene right here where he ends up collapsing and just looking like a mess, to which he ends up cocooning himself and waking up the next morning, breaking out of his cocoon. And then as the movie evolves and goes on, he starts to realize he has organic webbing that he's trying to understand how to use, how to utilize. And I think he starts to turn more and more into like a spider, having spider-like features like these eyes right here. One thing I think plays into all this is supposed to be one of the darkest, one of the loneliest films we've seen Tom Holland's Spider-Man be in. He doesn't have that balance of the social life being Peter Parker versus being Spider-Man. He has completely sunk himself into being Spider-Man, which is lending more into these dramatic transformations, and he's becoming almost exactly like a true spider. This is why I think Bruce Banner is injected into this film, to essentially help Peter Parker curb these spider-like evolutions that are happening to him. So do I think we're gonna see Man-Spider? No. But this is without a doubt gonna be the coolest iteration we've seen of Tom Holland's Spider-Man yet. Let me know what you thought about the trailer in the comments, and of course follow for more.